Greetings, fight fans. This is Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Rob Jarrell, and I just want to talk about a few developments with the Manny Pacquiao versus Jessie Vargas undercard fight that should be um, happening on November 5th. And holy crap, I can't remember. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Um, that fight is going to be in Las Vegas. Jesus Christ, man, my memory is done. But that's neither here nor there. We all know that Manny Pacquiao is going to be fighting Jessie Vargas on November 5th. That's a solid fight. It's a good fight. It's just not a fight that we asked for. We would have liked to see Manny Pacquiao maybe against an Adrian Broner or Keith Thurman or even a Terrence Crawford. No matter what anyone says, it's a solid fight. It's not a bad fight. I'm not gonna call it a cherry pick, but because let's face it, Jessie Vargas is a champion right now, and he's earned it. He KO Saddam Ali for the vacant belt. So what can we say? With that being said, Bob Arum, one, is not going to have the fight on HBO, so right now he's talking to Showtime, and it might be a rumor. It looks like it's either Showtime or possibly going to be ESPN, which we know Showtime is going to give you a good event, but I wouldn't mind it being on ESPN. It wouldn't be the first time they've done a pay-per-view on ESPN. It's going to be something a little bit different instead of constantly having it on HBO or Showtime, or if you like MMA with UFC, their own pay-per-view. But I think it would be too big just to have them streaming on Top Rank, the Top Rank website, which I have watched fights, I have seen streams from that website. So, but the bigger news is it looks like they're putting Nonito Donaire on the undercard against Jesse Magdaleno. Now, if you know Jesse Magdaleno, that is he's undefeated, and it is Nonito Donaire's mandatory for the WBO super bantamweight title. That's a good fight. Jesse Magdaleno is 23-0. I've seen him a few times on television. No real big names, but he's got 17 KOs, so he's definitely got some power, but he doesn't have any real names on his resume. And it happens. I mean, they probably brought him through slow, but he had a lot of promise. I think his best win to date, and I think when I saw him, it was his last fight versus Ray Perez back in February. But it leaves some. If you go down box rack, because I've seen his brother, but not him. Really, no names on there, and kind of iffy competition, and that's going to be a tall order if you're going to put him against the Filipino Flash. So that's good for this undercard. The one thing I never understood is why you have Pacquiao, then you have Nonito Donaire, who is from the Bay Area. He's from Oakland, but they never really established putting him on the undercard to Manny Pacquiao's fights. And Manny Pacquiao, by the time that Nonito Donaire was coming up, he was the other Filipino fighter. He's a fighter of the year, and we know that Manny Pacquiao is a 3-time fighter of the year through Ring Magazine and the Boxing Writers Association, or the BWAA, Boxing Writers Association of America, if I'm not mistaken. I'm bad with acronyms, but I never understood why they never put them on the same card. You have both of them from the Philippines, Filipino descent, however you want to say it. They're both just knocking out people. They're both going on runs. So I think they wanted to market them differently and have people have them separate. But with that much explosiveness and power in two Filipino cats, you're just asking for Nonito to become a household name, and then it's a great support to Manny Pacquiao. And you see it now where you have Chocolatito Gonzalez and Triple G on the same cards, and the last 4 fights was on the same cards. And that has bode well for him, because now people have known Triple G, and the lighter weight classes people don't really know about. But then there's this little guy that's just giving people work. I mean, versus Brian Valoria. That was probably one of his best wins, and I actually enjoyed that fight. So we're finally getting something that we probably all wanted. They're going to try to create the Filipino versus Mexican rivalry, which is interesting because we know Manny Pacquiao has fought Barrera, Morales, and Juan Manuel Marquez. We know Marquez was 4 fights, Morales was 3 fights, and I think Barrera was 1 or 2 fights. Yeah, sorry for the pause, but I think it's 1 or 2 fights with Barrera. Blah, 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 blah. No, it was just 1 fight. But we know with that, and then he beat up on Margarito. He beat on Brandon Rios. So it's there. So that should be really interesting, especially with Jesse Magladino being he's American, but he's of Mexican descent, if I'm not mistaken. So it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. I think that makes the card just much more interesting. It makes me say, hey, I was just gonna either try to stream it for free or try to catch it the next day on a download, or kind of if you may go out if they're playing it, but you put Nonito Donaire, I'm like, all right. I think this is getting interesting, especially against Jesse Magdaleno. Now there is a rumor, and it's this is through Boxing Talk, if I'm not mistaken. And they're a reputable site. I've been following them for years, just like Boxing Scene, Fight Hype, The Sweet Science, Bad Left Hook. That there's a slim possibility that Vasyl Lomachenko might be on that same undercard. That'll be the other support to the fight versus a Jezreel Corrales, who is a champion right now in that in the 130-pound division. I think he has the WBA belt. Yeah, he's the WBA super featherweight champion. I've never seen him fight, but I'm kind of excited to see who he is, because he's only got 1 loss on his record, and he is out of Panama, and we know Panama got some good fighters down there. But he beat Takashi Uchiyama, and I'm gonna have to check out that fight if I'm going to see what this guy really has, if they put him in there versus Vasyl Lomachenko. So this will be interesting. I think Aram's going to really make some money and really put together a great card if he can put Manny Pacquiao, Nonito Donaire, and Vasyl Lomachenko on that same card. He might rip some money out of my pocket for that, and like Lomachenko is on a pound-for-pound list. Manny Pacquiao, regardless what anyone says, is still a pound-for-pound, probably top 5, at least definitely top 10, possibly top 5 with Kovalev, Golovkin, if you want to say Rigondeaux or Kell Brook or whoever. And then we know Nonito Donaire has been the man. He's been in the top 5 before, and I'm a big fan of Nonito. I think he could give anyone any trouble as long as he's not just solely relying on his power coming from his left hand. So that's all I got for y'all today. I'm kind of excited about that, especially if they can get the other chief support. I mean, it's going to be a lot of money they come out of pocket, because these would all be for belts. And we know Pacquiao's the money guy. Nonito Donaire is going to be the A side to Jesse Magdaleno. And Vasyl Lomachenko is going to be the A side to Jezreel Corrales. So those guys are going to get paid. So why not stack the card? Try to get as much money as you can, because it looks like Aram did lose money on his last pay-per-view, which was Terrence Crawford versus Victor Postal. And I'm going to be honest, I could see how that could be the case, because that really didn't, in my opinion, didn't have enough support on the undercard. And the fight just wasn't what people thought it would be. And just to give you an example of everything else going on, the card with Canelo versus Liam Smith, really, it finally rounded out, but it's not something that you can really get super excited about. Um, because of course we have Smith versus Canelo. That's not something that we asked for, but again, it's going to be for Liam Smith's belt. That'll put Canelo back as a champion in the challenge and probably garner more A-side money versus other 154 pounders. And then, excuse me. Um, then we have Gabe Rosado versus Willie Monroe Jr., which is going to be a decent fight for to see who. It's a possibility that the winner of that fight is going to fight the winner of Liam Smith versus Canelo Alvarez. And we have Jojo Diaz, who Golden Boy's high on, versus Andrew Cancio. But I would put that as the first fight. Then Diego De La Hoya is going to be on there versus Orlando Del Valle. And Saddam Ali is going to be on the undercard as well as Eddie Gomez. But I think they're going to be on free TV, probably on like HBO East or West, or however you want to say it, or HBO Latino, who knows. But I don't think they're going to actually be on the undercard. I would love to see them try to work out something with Curtis Stevens and David Lemieux. I think that's a high-contact, action-packed match to go along with Gabe Rosado versus Willie Monroe Jr. and Joseph Diaz to go with the Liam Smith and Canelo Alvarez, and then that might bring some more people in to pay for it. But without that, I don't think that's something that should go on HBO. But that's my opinion. And right now, we don't have an undercard for Ward versus Kovalev, and I think that's it. But it'll definitely be interesting. I'm looking forward to it if they can make those fights for the Manny Pacquiao undercard. Tell us what you think. Comment in the section below. You know, we answer all our comments, so as many as we can. Email us at capitalcombat@gmail.com, Facebook at Capital Combat, Instagram at Capital Combat, and Google Plus at Capital Combat. Hit that subscribe button if you like what you see or you got any questions. Remember, the more people that we bring in, the more views that we get, the more content we can bring to you, the more people we can reach. And until next time, guys, peace.